Hi, welcome. We are Graig and Helen Corvaline, and we are responsible today to talk to you about our faith sharing and spirituality for the pre-Cana program.
We wish we could be with you, but we know that you're enjoying this from the comfort of your home as we are in our home. So welcome to our home.
And we're really hoping to get an opportunity to meet with everybody in the coming weeks. And so we'll give you a little bit of a summary of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about our faith as it's developed in our marriage and some of the obstacles that we faced along the way. And we're also going to talk about it in terms of three different parts: our faith past, our present, and our future. So the first thing is that we have been married for 18 years. We got married in 2002, and we are products of the St. Charles Borromeo pre-Cana program.
Yep.
We really enjoyed the program, and we have been involved as marriage instructional counselors for pretty much, I think, 17 of those 18 years, give or take, here and there. And it's been a really enjoyable part of our marriage, and it's been something that's really brought our faith to the forefront of our relationship. And that started for me back when we went through the pre-Cana process. I was not Catholic at the time, and it was not something that I really considered a lot, but it was something where faith was part of my life, and that was something that was really important to Helen when we were dating and when we became engaged. And also, it provided a lot of thought for me and things that I needed to get through, and a relationship with God that I needed to develop a little bit on my own. And that wasn't because Helen wasn't involved in that journey, but it was because it was something that was deeply ingrained in me and something that I felt that I had to examine. And so ultimately, I did have an opportunity to learn about the church and to become part of the church through a program with St. Charles. And I met some wonderful people who I'm still very close with, and got to work directly with Father Graig on aspects of my faith that I hadn't really discovered before or considered before. And that brought me from a background of very much sort of muddled Christianity, I guess, in going through my upbringing as a Presbyterian, as a Methodist, and then going to a Catholic college where I met Helen, singing Mass and parts that I didn't really understand thoroughly. But that became part of my journey, and that became an aspect of me and of our family and of our marriage that I was very proud of. And becoming Catholic was really one of the best things, I think, for our marriage and certainly for our family. And it's something that means a great deal to me, even today.
And I think part of your coming to the church, for me, in my faith journey, I grew up in St. Charles and really had a solid, deep faith that I just always had in my background. And some of the things that you learned while you were becoming a Catholic challenged my thinking and deepened my faith. So I think even in the early parts of our marriage, even though I felt that I had a solid basis in faith, I feel like watching you and helping you and going through that process with you also helped me learn more about myself and have a better understanding of the faith that we both share and enjoy. So we'd like to talk now a little bit about how your faith in the present day kind of affects you, and we'll share a little bit about how we lean on our faith every day. We generally try and encourage with our three children. We have a high schooler, a middle schooler, and an elementary schooler, so we have a busy household. To stop and take just a gratitude break at some point during the day. And it comes at different times, but with being home with COVID, since we're home so much together and we spend so much time together, we really have gotten to the point where it's not just grace anymore, because usually family dinner is where we sit down and really kind of take stock of the day and reflect and thank God for what we have and call out specific things. But we've actually kind of started to lean on our faith a little bit more when we see that the kids are struggling or that when one of us is struggling. And with, I think kind of with the pandemic, we've been able to really kind of be much more reflective on how much of a part our faith plays in our family, and the ability to kind of lean on that and lean into it, even when we weren't going to church. And I think that was one of a really big part of, you know, things that we missed about the pandemic is not being able to be in the physical church building. So we did, with our family, turn to, you know, YouTube online, and found a lot of comfort in that, watching Father Graig from our living room. And the kids always giggled because they got to watch with stuffed animals. They got to take stuffed animals to church.
And we got to drink coffee while we were
So, you know, faith kind of twists and turns. And for us, being spiritual is definitely living in gratitude. And it is taking stock and really making sure that we're being thankful as well as asking for help.
And I think that's one of the things that we want to stress too, is to give you the opportunity as engaged couples to talk to each other about what the present of your faith journey looks like. Mm-hmm. You know, we talked about where I was sort of coming from what feels like all those years ago, but also to have that conversation. We're going to talk about communication through these presentations. We're going to talk about expectations and being present to your partner and having an understanding of where you're coming from and being able to communicate, you know, where you are presently with your faith journey. A lot of people are struggling right now with their faith. You know, I feel that some people are being pulled very strongly in that direction again because of all of the chaos and you know loss and in some instances hate that we're feeling, and that people are demonstrating toward one another. Your faith informs how that comes to your life. And when you are planning your wedding, when you're looking at music that you want to bring to the ceremony, you're looking at readings, that's a great opportunity to have a conversation about where am I presently with my faith. Years ago, we used to talk about how, you know, few couples who were in the pre-Cana lived under the same roof before they were married. But now it's very standard for couples to be able to have that conversation in their own living room. Mm-hmm. And you have been quarantined together and have faced these struggles side by side instead of separately.
But we want to challenge you today to, and even if you just have to pause the video, to really sit down and say, where am I in my faith journey myself? Where am I with my partner? And where do we kind of foresee our faith journey going? So even if you just want to pause for a minute now, it's not something that typically comes up in the everyday conversation because we live busy lives and we do a lot of things. So, you know, this might be a time where typically in our program, if we were together, we would say, hey, go out and have a conversation about this and, you know, really kind of take stock. And so this might be a great time for you to do that.
So the last piece of our presentation is really about your faith and the future of your relationship and the future of your marriage. And a lot of times we, just like we did with the present, we encourage couples to take that next step and decide what is it that you're going to do to commemorate your faith as it relates to your marriage. Some of the other couples have talked about marriage as a sacrament, and the receipt of those gifts from God, how important that is for the basis of your marriage. And in a lot of instances, you have to make a determination that you're going to put faith in your marriage and you have to work at it. So that's a concept that we have really tried to introduce into our relationship, and particularly when children come into the mix, if that's your plan for your marriage, mm-hmm. then it's appropriate to have that conversation early on about where do I think this is, here's where I am presently, and here's where I would like to be in my relationship with God. And there are lots of different ways to do that. We've talked over the years about tons of different things, and we're always available to discuss with people if it so moves you. Reach out to any of the couples in the presentations, and when we get a chance to meet together, hopefully soon, we'll talk a little bit more about how you can bring faith into your marriage future.
So just a few ideas, because sometimes people can say, yeah, I'd like to bring faith in, but they don't know how to approach that or how to do that. So just from years past, we've heard people saying, I think what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and make it a goal to go to Mass 3 times a month. We know we won't get there 4 times a month, but 3 times a month, we'd really be happy with being able to just sit down once a week and take stock. Other people have said, we barely have ever read out of the Bible. I think we'd like to do that together. And you make it a once a week goal. You make it something that's doable for you to do. And other people just simply say, we're not there yet. What we just need to do is pray, and we'll take your advice, and we'll say grace together and have it be a meaningful grace. And sometimes it's a reflection of the day or the world events that are happening, and it's a way to mark a time to specifically do something that's a little different in your spiritual journey to help yourself to grow. So
and the important thing is to make that an acknowledgement, and to acknowledge daily how faith is impacting your decision making, how it's impacting the way that you speak with one another, with your, not just your relationships with each other or with your kids, but also with the outside world. And ultimately, a little bit at a time, that's the goal, is to have people have a faith-informed life and a faith-informed marriage.
So we will pray for all of you. And we will make you part of our daily prayer as you start on your marriage journey. And we really hope that we can see all of you in person. But if we don't, please know that there's always somebody that's out there that's praying for your well-being and for your faith journey.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.